the other day. Giuseppe's here, Souls is here, Steve is here. I'm going to go to yourself first, Giuseppe. Give me your thoughts on Arsenal today.
First of all, I want to get them little nitpicky things out of the way. That's a red card, 100,000,000%. I think it's very dangerous as well. The way he's fallen down on his throat. Anyone knows, like you can damage someone's throat doing something like that. I think it was dangerous and stupid. Should have been a red card. The penalty is a penalty. I agree. Saka dived after, but he still got the contact to begin with. It doesn't really matter. But I can let that go. You know that. As long as we don't see stupid stuff like that getting given then the rest of the season, that's fine. But to get them out of the way, I thought it was an all right game. I thought we done what we had to do. 2-0 win, clean sheet. I thought it was sloppy at times. I feel like a lot of the players that were sloppy are a lot of the players that joined pre-season a bit later and went a bit further in the tournaments. Saliba was sloppy today. Gabriel was sloppy today. Partey, he hasn't played for a while. Sloppy today. I just think that there was parts of the game that could be improved, but it's the first game of the season, so I'll give them a bye. They kept the clean sheet. They done what they had to do. Saka, first of all, respect needs to be put on. I don't know what more Saka can do, mate. First game of the season, beautiful assist, beautiful goal, but he'll still somehow get called limp a lot. He dived for the penalty and all the negative stuff about him apparently in the game. I think Havertz, he's done it again, isn't he? He scored first game of the season. I think that shut so many fans up. The one player I reckon that if you asked 90% of rival fans, who do you really not want to score for Arsenal in the first game, they would have said Kai Havertz, because it would have been proving a lot of them wrong. Proving a lot of Arsenal fans wrong, myself included. When we first signed him, I thought he weren't going to be this good, but he seems to be good, to be honest. And I'm not going to lie, it weren't just that in the game. I could talk about his goal. His goal was a brilliant header, but it's the work rate. He's a striker and he's defending. His work rate's unbelievable. He gets involved in everything. I think he's a quality player for Arsenal, and I think he's an actual important player for Arsenal, and he will be very important this season. I thought, Wolves were all right. They got better in the second half. The first half, they weren't at the races, maybe. The second half, they come into it a bit more, but we done what we had to do. Raya, an amazing save in the first half. Apart from that, didn't really have much to do after that, but that save could have been 1-1 at that point, which brings back the thing of this thing of Raya can't stop shots and this stuff, and he ain't a good shot stopper and that. He is a good shot stopper. It's just that we don't ever really have shots at our goal because our defense is solid. Timber looked good when he come on. That's a positive. I thought he looked really good, and I thought, for me, Arsenal, I can't complain. Clean sheet. We go above Liverpool after they're getting gassed that they were top of the league. I know Brighton are now top of the league, but we go above Liverpool because our name starts with A. Love to see it. But nah. I just thought it was a solid first game of the season. As you said, you don't really want to go all guns blazing in the first game at home to Wolves as well, because we've got Villa away next. Then we've got Brighton, which now makes, after watching this first game, makes our first 5 games look even tougher, because Brighton, even at the Emirates, is looking like Brighton this season could be a team that takes points off a lot of teams. So Brighton, then we've got Spurs away, then we've got Man City away. So this was really the game to sort of sit off the pace a little bit if we could. And I think we were allowed to when we got the goal early in that. But I'm happy.
Listen, I hear you on that. I think you're absolutely right. The idea, I said it at the start of last season, and I was laughed at when you started off relatively slowly in terms of performance and intensity, and I felt it was a tactic, and you got stronger as the season went on. And the only reason I thought it was a tactic is we've seen that's what the likes of Manchester City do. They very rarely start the season off looking at the peak of their powers. And it's, in my old sport, it was called tapering. So we compete a lot throughout the course of the year, but everything led each kind of seasonal campaign led with the end of our season, which was always our World Championships. But everything you did was about trying to peak for the World Championships. You weren't trying to peak for the tryouts that were 9 months earlier. You had to do it right. Olympians, it's actually really interesting listening to the Olympians speak, because I know that we have a lot of debates in the football space now about winning's all that matter and second and third places are not. But I was listening to all these Olympians speak, and they were talking about ex-Olympians, so not the ones that got second and third, but they were talking about how it is the craziest. All of their sports are the craziest sports in the sense of everything they do for 4 years is to peak at that exact moment. So imagine imagine you can do something that starts to improve you now, but you can only maintain your body at certain levels for a certain period of time, no matter how good you are at sport. So sometimes you have to hold back from development for a year or two in certain areas because you've got to peak for that exact tournament, which is why when they end up coming second, you don't see a lot of them angry and going mental, because it's like it was 4 years of work just to be peaking at this point. And unfortunately, somebody peaked more than me. It isn't like football where every weekend you kind of get your result type thing. So I still feel in that same scenario, you can't come in. I think if you start the Premier League season in scintillating tip-top form, the likelihood is by May, you might have already burnt out. You might have already been over the hill. You've got to get that timing right. Souls, obviously I saw you in a group chat, loving it. But what did you make of the performance and the result today, mate?
Yeah, professional performance. I mean, it's the first game of the season. We needed to stamp our authority. I mean, business as usual, clean sheet. David Raya again putting one on his name, getting that golden glove, retaining it this season. Kai Havertz had to score today just to kind of, quieten up the criticism and the media, because if he hadn't scored today, even if we win, Havertz and the conversation would have been, we need a number 9, we need a striker, we need this, we need that, rather than the conversation being that Arsenal are going to challenge and all the good that we might have done in this game. So I'm glad that there was no controversy in terms of our players doing something or messing up. I guess the question marks for the players are still there in terms of Zinchenko still being a bit of a liability, especially in the bigger games, why the likes of Ricardo Calafiori and like Timbers are important to be fit this season. I mean, Thomas Partey, like a lot of people have alluded to, being, the first, his first game in like a season that he's playing again. So we've got to cut him a bit of slack. We know he's got quality. He just needs to get those minutes under him, and he'll be back as well. I'm not sitting here and saying that we shouldn't be selling him. Obviously, his age is coming to 30. We need to be looking to, bring a successor in, but it's not something that I'm concerned about right now. When we look at our next few fixtures, we needed to start off right. We needed to get, momentum under our belts. We needed to get those minutes for the bench players as well. And that's probably the only critique I have of Arteta, that not enough of those players came on. I would have liked to see Calafiori coming on because he hasn't really featured. I mean, Timbers is perfectly fine, but he could have also gone to right back or one of them going to centre back. Trossard coming on, should have come on a bit earlier. I think the only question mark for me this season, or what I want to see, is Martinelli, because there is a huge criticism, and I've said it in the group chat, and I've said it many times before. He might be a big exit that's coming very soon if he does not improve his performances, if he doesn't buckle up his ideas, because at the moment, I wouldn't even say he's a starter for us, because Trossard is probably a fan favourite to start a lot of games, and this is his season to prove the haters wrong. This is what I'm going to say, constructive criticism to him, that he needs to pick those performances up, because that left-hand side can't keep catering for him. If we bring in Martin Zubimendi, for example, not Zubimendi, sorry, we bring Mikel Moreno in and he still doesn't pick his performances up, then the question mark is, how good are you really? Or are you a limited player that can't keep, that we can't keep carrying you? I'm not saying he hasn't got qualities. I'm not saying he's not a good player, but there's certain things that he now needs to develop, and he needs to buckle his ideas up in training, where looking up and finding opportunities, when he was in the box, rather than just lashing it and shooting, look up and see that Declan Rice is open. These are the differences that are going to make us either title challengers or winning the title and actually coming second. And in games like the Villa game, the Man City game, we can't be wasteful. We have to be on our A game. We have to take all these opportunities. Again, it is the first game. I don't want to be too much of, negativity or anything, because there were brilliant moments in that game, as much as there were concerns in that game as well. Like the 30 minutes, 40 minutes in the second half, where they kind of took over and the momentum shifted massively. We need to learn to control those kind of situations, rather than a brilliant moment coming from Saka and then we sit back in our chairs and go, okay, you know what, we've won this now. We need to control those moments, because every single season we've had those spells where we lose control and we become too emotional in a game. Like Zinchenko 5 minutes into the game or 10 minutes into the game, telling the crowd to cheer up. It's like, no, just focus on your job. Forget the crowd. Forget what they're doing. You just focus on the task at hand. You've got to go and win this game. Yeah, forget what the stadium's doing, what the crowd is doing. We're 0-0. We're not 5-0 up. just carry on with your job. But again, like I said, professional performance. I'm going to be watching the Villa game. I'm intrigued to see how Villa and West Ham do this season as well, because their transfer business has been impeccable. And I feel like this is probably going to be the most entertaining and close Premier League we've ever seen.
Mate, do you know, you make a really, really good point there, because this is why I think nobody should be overanalyzing the opening games. So I think there's individual players you can say he did really good. Like Saka was really good today. Havertz looked really good today. He's definitely going to piss some people off. But I don't think we can be writing anybody off or absolutely saying, do you know what? Because there will be some Arsenal fans today that will say, do you know what? We weren't amazing. We ain't winning the league. What I saw today, we ain't winning the league. And I almost feel that it's either stupidity that leads to those opinions, or it's just, I'm looking for... It has to be stupidity or fake outrage. Nobody who's watched football for more than a few seasons can take the... I mean, when I was growing up as a kid, I think I put it in the group chat earlier saying it's great being top of the league. Clearly a joke, right? When I was a kid, no one took the league seriously. There was no banter at school, nothing, until at least 10 games. No one cared what the league table looked like, unless you supported a really average team and they happened to be top after 5 games. Like every now and then I remember Wimbledon were top ones after about 4 or 5 games. One kid in my school was a Wimbledon fan and he wouldn't stop talking about it. And it was cool because he's Wimbledon. Like, you let him have his moments. So, yeah, no, I hear you completely, but it could be it really could be. We had Newcastle winning today, down to 10 men, still went on to win.
We were terrible. But yeah,
I didn't see the game. I didn't watch the game though. But I just it's going to be an interesting one. Mo, what did you make of Arsenal today? Tipped by some to go on to win the league this year, but definitely in the title race. Was it what you expected to see on the opening day?
Arsenal aren't going to challenge this season with the Premier League. Arsenal are going to win the league this season. First game of the season, Arsenal look like champions. They picked up where they left off last season. I know a lot of people said, but they defended against Wolves. I thought that was by design. Where everyone sat behind the ball. They showed their capabilities in defense. William Saliba, yes, gave away a couple of balls and also Zinchenko, but the team looks so comfortable, looks so smooth when they get the ball. And it's like, I am sitting there watching Arsenal. I'm like, if I'm an Arsenal fan, and I'm not, I'm very comfortable. We're winning this. There is going to be a moment of brilliance coming up. And it came from Saka. You can feel it, that the goal was coming for Arsenal. It's now or in 5 minutes or in 10 minutes. Because you can tell that Saka was from minute 1 is a different guy than last season. Way more confident on the ball. He is changing the way he played from last season. People, he's predictable. No, he wasn't today. He took to the byline. He cut inside, far post crosses, sometimes shooting. Kai Havertz did what he did today is so different than even the Kai Havertz that started with Arsenal. Dropped so deep today, but also made late runs about 10 times today to get at the end of things. I think Thomas Partey is a new signing for Arsenal today. He's so athletic, look thinner, look more fit. Timber, oh my word, this guy... A new signing again, has only played 30 minutes last season or 40 minutes last season, if I'm not mistaken, in the beginning of the season. And they haven't even brought Calafiori. Gabriel picked up where he left. Martin Odegaard looked like the Martin Odegaard of the end of last season. Full control. Martin Odegaard today. Yes, I am going over the top for Arsenal, but because this first game of the season looks tricky, Wolves under Gary O'Neill, it looked tricky. I wasn't like faded, but Wolves got here and there. Arsenal defense look amazing. I said David Raya is going to be better than last season. Arsenal look like champions. They add Mikel Moreno. They literally have 5 super subs from the starting lineup today. 5 super subs, 5 players that will start for a lot of teams with Calafiori, Timber, Trossard, Jesus, and Mikel Moreno. And that's beside the starting lineup. Apart from them, if they sell in Nketiah, they might get a forward. Arsenal, if everybody stays fit, they're going to be Premier League winners. Listen, I'm saying it here. They look very smooth. Very, very smooth today. Not clunky, nothing. Yeah, a couple of mistakes here and there, but very, very smooth, to be honest with you. I said it. They're going to be champions this season. This is the year where finally Arteta proves everybody wrong. This is the year.
Can I ask you a question about the smoothness of Arsenal? and I don't know if Gooners do this because it's your team and we all watch our teams with these eagle eyes. Do you find yourself in games with Arsenal sometimes, Mo, drifting, your mind drifting, because it is so comfortable for them?
Yes.
I
was watching the game because I was watching 2 games, Terry. I was watching 2 games, right? Newcastle. And at some point, Arsenal were passing the ball around and it gets to Saka, goes back to Saliba, Gabriel, goes to Martinelli. He tries, they get a corner. And I'm like, okay, the Newcastle game looked way more intense. Why is Arsenal only 1-0 up? And it doesn't look as intense for them.
I agree. I agree. And I don't think Arsenal fans will understand that unless they put their head into another team. But I was watching it and I was enjoying the game, good football. But I just found my mind drifting onto the other games. My kids are outside in the garden playing. And I'm trying to not get distracted because I had the doors and windows open. But I'm like, this is just so comfortable. And even when they made a mistake, I didn't get the, because I don't do watch-alongs, so I like to really focus on, I don't like doing them. But whenever one of my rivals might concede or make, like when Saliba gave the ball away, what I'd have done if that was Arsenal 3 years ago is gone, because something's going to happen. Now I just sort of, in my head, go, well, they're not going to score, are they?
Someone's going to cover.
Someone's going to cover. It is ridiculous. Like, I just don't, it's annoying. It is annoying because I used to love coming on and going, right, they talk about all the mistakes and the problems and the issues. And the only issue Arsenal really had today is we didn't win by enough goals. If you're nitpicking, maybe.